Hello, welcome back. Our next 1971 entry is The Return of Count Yorga. This is the sequel to 1970's Count Yorga Vampire. Now, Count Yorga Vampire was probably one of my favorite horror movies of 1970, so I was pretty excited for this one. Once again, it's directed by Bob Kelljan, who did the first one, and it features Robert Quarry, whose face you can see right there, as Count Yorga. Now, unfortunately, this poster, which is really cool, with this hand with the eye in it and the other hand with the mouth in it and some kind of like eagle claw, this has nothing to do with the movie at all. So that is a little bit of a bummer. This time around, Count Yorga returns. He's apparently resurrected by some evil winds, and he shows up, starts terrorizing a different group of people, completely unrelated to the first group of people that we saw in the first movie. This movie is pretty good. The two best parts about the movie are Robert Quarry's performance. He's very good. And also the score, which you can hear there in the background. I thought the music was really good. It set the mood. It kept it to a spooky tone the whole time. If you don't count the music, this very much felt like a Hammer film made in America in a contemporary time. So most Hammer horror films are period pieces set in the past. This one was set in the modern day of 1971. Whenever the music wasn't playing, it felt pretty much like a Hammer film. And then when the music would kick in, it just felt spookier. So I liked that. There's also a funny part in it where Count Yorga is watching a Hammer film on TV. He's watching The Vampire Lovers, which came out in 1970, although he's watching it in Spanish, which is odd because it's an English film that takes place in the Holy Roman Empire, where they probably spoke some kind of German language. So that was a funny little thing. I guess it's because this movie was released by AIP, and The Vampire Lovers was released in the U.S. by AIP. I think it was the only Hammer film that got distributed by AIP. So this is an AIP film. We had a bunch of AIP films in 1970, including the first Count Yorga, also Scream and Scream Again, Cry the Banshee, and The Dunwich Horror, and maybe one other. But AIP movies, they're not all great, but some of them are. And I think as time goes on, they get better, because I've seen some later ones, and they were good. So overall, I give this one a 7 out of 10, because it started off good, and I was really excited for it, because the first one was so good. And then the beginning was kind of the best part, and the middle was kind of slow, and then at the end, like, there was some okay stuff. The movie was rated GP, which means it was not rated R and certainly not rated X, so there's not a whole lot of violence or blood or horror type action in it. So it was slightly disappointing, but it's probably because I had my hopes up so high. So I give this one a 7 out of 10. Other thing I'll mention here is that there are some vampire brides, and a really cool part was when they came out of the ground, the winds resurrected them as well. But I don't know if I like this or dislike it, but the vampire brides acted more like zombies than vampires. And they were like slightly decayed and like dirty, and they moved really slowly. None of them spoke. And also their teeth kind of looked like dollar store fangs. Like Count Yorga's teeth looked fine, but the bride's teeth didn't look that good. Seems like maybe the budget was a little too low on this one, or with the money they had, they didn't really make the best use of it. So, 7 out of 10, it was pretty good. The music was great. Robert Quarry was great. Overall, pretty decent. So, we'll see what we have next time. See you then.